What if the most powerful force shaping modern America isn't capitalism, technology, or democracy but an ancient belief system quietly operating behind the scenes, influencing laws, minds, money, and morality without ever appearing on the ballot? In modern America, Christianity no longer announces itself loudly through church bells alone. It whispers through court rulings, school boards, economic attitudes, political speeches, and cultural norms, shaping reality while claiming to stay personal. From childhood, millions of Americans are taught that morality comes from belief, that obedience is virtue, that suffering has purpose, and that authority, especially when wrapped in religion, should not be questioned. This psychological framework did not remain confined to churches. It migrated into the national mindset, shaping how Americans view success, poverty, justice, and power. Christianity merged seamlessly with American capitalism, producing a culture where wealth is often interpreted as divine blessing, and poverty as moral failure, allowing extreme inequality to exist alongside sermons about love and charity. While churches built hospitals and charities, they also normalized a system where structural injustice is rarely challenged because hardship is framed as a spiritual test rather than a social failure. In education, Christianity once dominated the classroom and still influences it today, not always through curriculum, but through resistance to evolution, resistance to comprehensive sex education, resistance to climate science, and resistance to historical truths that challenge religious comfort. This has created a nation deeply advanced in technology yet deeply divided over basic scientific reality, where belief is often placed above evidence and doubt is seen as weakness instead of intelligence. But the most dangerous transformation occurred when Christianity stopped being a personal faith and became a political identity. Politicians discovered that invoking God could replace logic, that scripture could override data, and that labeling policies as Christian values could silence opposition while bypassing constitutional limits. Laws affecting women's reproductive rights, education policy, and even foreign affairs have been shaped not by universal ethics or human rights, but by religious doctrine interpreted by a powerful minority. In a nation built on pluralism, Christianity gradually positioned itself as the default American identity, quietly pushing non-Christians, secular citizens, and even dissenting Christians to the margins, creating an unspoken hierarchy of belonging. This fusion of religion and nationalism, often called Christian nationalism, has turned political disagreement into moral warfare, where opponents are not simply wrong, but sinful, un-American, or dangerous. History shows us that when belief replaces reason in governance, democracy weakens, minorities suffer, and freedom becomes conditional. Christianity also shaped the American tolerance for authority, teaching generations to accept hierarchy, endure injustice, and respect power structures rather than question them, allowing systemic racism, sexism, and exploitation to persist far longer than they should have. While preaching compassion, many churches aligned themselves with political power, choosing influence over integrity, silence over accountability, and control over care. Scandals involving abuse, financial corruption, and institutional cover-ups exposed a painful truth. When religious institutions gain power, transparency often disappears. And yet, despite declining church attendance and rising secularism, Christianity's grip on policy remains disproportionately strong, revealing that its influence is no longer spiritual, it is structural. In a modern America defined by diversity, science, and individual liberty, an absolutist belief system rooted in ancient moral codes increasingly clashes with reality, slowing progress, deepening polarization, and framing human rights as moral threats. A nation that prides itself on freedom cannot thrive when laws are shaped by faith rather than evidence, when education is constrained by doctrine, and when personal belief dictates public life. Christianity may have helped build early America, but modern America no longer resembles the world Christianity was designed for. Enforcing ancient answers onto modern problems has produced fear instead of unity, division instead of dialogue, and control instead of compassion. Morality does not require religion, empathy does not need scripture, and justice does not depend on belief. The true question facing America today is not whether Christianity has done good, it has, but whether continuing to allow it to shape laws, minds, and national identity is preventing the country from becoming truly free, truly equal, and truly rational. And perhaps the most uncomfortable truth of all is this: America may never reach its full potential until belief steps back from power and humanity steps forward instead.